Hey guys, today's video, I wanted to actually kind of go over a piece of content, an article that was written on Age Lead Store. And this one in particular was about how does high converting sales lead, like what does that plan entail? What does a high converting sales lead sales plan look like? So I wanted to go over some key pieces of this article. And potentially, if you like video better than kind of reading through things, you'll get some of this. But I also want to give just a little bit of extra color to this article because I think it was a great article. And too often, when we're selling solar, we don't really think through the overall sales plan, if you will, right? We just kind of go out there, we get our list, we do some door knocking. But we don't really think like what are we trying to achieve or how can we make this process more productive. So I want to give you a couple of extra ideas here. So one, let's just talk about the opportunity, right? The solar industry is only growing. Right now, there's actually installed, right, in 2022, there's enough solar panels installed to power 22 million homes, right? That's just a fraction of the potential market, right? So there's a ton of opportunity in the market. It is growing rapidly, but there's much more to be had. Plus, the technology keeps getting more sophisticated, more adaptable, and so it's not as sort of geo-contained as it once was. So let's talk about that sales plan itself. So one of the things that's key is you want to document, you want to write out your sales plan, but you also want to keep it flexible and adaptable, right? You want it to be adaptable to your market, you want to be adaptable to technology, and you also want to keep it fresh, right? You want to revisit the sales plan, you want to revisit your sales scripts to make sure that things still fit and make sense. And the easiest way to do that is really as you're going and you're doing your appointments or you're making and setting appointments, is just reviewing what you're hearing from the customer. What are the objections? What are the concerns? What's really working? Like, what are they excited about? Like, why do they want to do this? Why have they contacted you? Why are they receptive? So again, adding and documenting all of this feedback is really critical to keeping that sales plan as tight and effective and as current as possible, right? But and this is why it's important to keep up on the industry, right? Make sure that it's changing with trends and needs. One of the things I remember, I was getting some windows installed a couple of years back or whatever, and the guy came over to do the presentation, and he had this 3-ring binder with these, sheets inside of little plastic things or whatever, and some of the stuff was so old it was yellowing, and he was moving through this presentation. I'm like, wow, can this even be like relevant, right? He was showing me old ads about how great they were and awards they had won, but the sheets were literally yellowing, right? So make sure, again, I know that's none of you, this is a newer technology, so you're probably not selling like that, but make sure that your approach is current and the things that you're saying and the trends that you're citing. Remember, in particular, solar consumers are often, if you came out of auto or insurance or mortgage or something else, this is a little bit of a different client, right? This client probably, especially the ones that are receptive, especially the ones that are actually going to buy, have done a lot of research. So these folks are tuned in. They understand the technology, they understand the trends, they understand the opportunity. So make sure you're current and you're the expert, because there's a good chance this, unlike anything you've sold before, that your clientele may be more interested and more tuned in and curious about this product than you are. So make sure that you're sharp, right? You don't want your customer to sort of outshine you or to trip you up or to call you out for something you're citing. So it's really important that you're keeping track of the industry trends and you are truly an expert in solar. Also, important thing, of course, and this is with any sales, you want to know your target audience, right? So one of the mistakes that I see, and maybe the additional step that would make you better, is a lot of times folks will they'll read all the literature, they'll read the online stuff, they'll read articles like from us, and it says, hey, this is what that typical customer is that buys solar panels. This is what their financial thing. So they'll read kind of the vanilla persona of the person that buys solar panels. But the way to take it to another level is to actually go talk to people who have bought solar panels. So one idea that I love that I heard is a lot of time, or this one particular person suggested, this is great too if you're new to a particular market or you've never sold this before, is go into a neighborhood, maybe a neighborhood that you're going to target, and look around for the homes that actually have solar panels installed. So there's a couple things this does for you as a salesperson. When you knock on that door and you have a conversation with them, they already bought, right? So you're not selling anything. You're doing market research. You're just saying, hey, I'm with so-and-so solar. We're looking to talk to some of your neighbors. I noticed that you've already installed. You may not have done it with us, or I know you didn't do it with us, but I would love to know why you installed solar. And I would love to know your experience with solar. I am not here, and you can even tell them, I am not here to sell you anything. I'm literally here to just be better at presenting my product. So I want to know from you, if you've got just 5 minutes, to tell me why you purchased, what you think about the solar panels and the experience you've had with solar. And so I just like to ask you a few questions. Now, it's really, I think, beneficial to have this scripted out, because you don't want to go up there and just sort of meander and wander around and waste your time, right? You want to, when that door opens, one, you want to make it very clear, hey, I'm not here to sell you anything. I just want to ask you a couple questions. I want to ask you a survey. I'm with this company. I install solar. I'm trying to get better. And tell them, hey, I only ask for like 2 minutes of your time, and I'm going to ask you 3 questions, right? And people will love that, right? And they'll give you a lot of great information. And then there's a couple things that will do. If you're savvy, you'll get their name and their address, and you'll use that when you talk to the rest of the neighborhood, right? Because you've had a conversation with them. Sometimes they will give you a referral, right? They'll say, oh yeah, my neighbor was thinking about it and I've talked to him about it, or I've talked to her about it, right? That'll give you a great referral. And then the other thing is you've just done market research for that very specific neighborhood, and that can be invaluable. So take the time, knock on 2 or 3 doors in the neighborhood that you're getting ready to work. For people that already installed, take that little extra time. It'll give you that little extra edge, right? Lead generation strategy. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can generate leads. A lot of times your particular company will give you a set of leads, or you're just going to drop into a neighborhood that's already been assessed, and you're going to knock on some doors. But it's okay too, and you may be in a role where you're just appointment setting, which is great too. So again, cold calls, again, penetrating a particular neighborhood, age leads, like we sell. People have already gone to websites and made inquiries. That's readily available. So that's a great way to source leads. And that's a whole different set of contact strategies, right? If you're actually working leads versus sort of knocking on doors, then in that particular case, we've got some videos where we talk about how to kind of make that contact and how to do those type of calls. But you can use other things. Social media, just your own Facebook page can be super productive because you're normally working your own community. But there's also a sophisticated way. Facebook, again, is a great way because you can use it as an educational channel. You can use video. You can talk people through. You can show them things. Again, you can kind of educate your client so that they're smarter, right? Because, again, this client's already seeking information, so why not be the source of that information as well. And then ultimately, whatever your strategy is for sales, whether it's door knocking, whether it's setting appointments or whatever, define that process, right? So, hey, I'm going to do some qualifications. I need to make some contact, follow-ups, and all that stuff. I'm a big fan of writing these things out and documenting them so that you have a clear process. And as you go into sort of running your sales, you become a machine, right? Because that consistency is what's going to actually deliver the best results. Also, this is key. A lot of times people overlook this for a lot of the products that I cover: solar, insurance, mortgage. A lot of times these products at their sort of face value are very generic and very similar. But you, as a company, as an individual, as an expert, should always have some sort of unique value proposition or some advantage to talking to you. It could be your expertise. It could be, hey, I'm just like an easier person to talk to, right? Or you have a more folksy presentation, or you're a similar age for the clientele that you're working with, or you have some expertise as, let's say, a financial advisor in the past, or some commonality, or hey, we're in the heartland of Ford where I live, and I used to work in the plant, or I used to be an engineer. Whatever the case is, try to figure out like what your angle is, and your particular unique value proposition to them, right? To them. So positioning, oftentimes only marketing thinks about this, but you as an individual need to think about your positioning as you go into that sales conversation. And then, of course, last but not least, it is very helpful to get a lot of at-bats, right? And so one of the best ways to get a lot of at-bats is to actually buy some solar leads. So even if you're going to do door knocking, even if your company's going to provide you some leads, I really suggest you get some age leads. They're super cheap, $1 or so a piece. You can get 100 or so of these. You can have your sales process. You can build out your sales scripts. You can practice it. You can take that material, and then you can just hammer that list, right? So there's low risk, low investment, but you're going to get right off the bat 100 at-bats with people who have raised their hands and said, I'm interested in solar. Come talk to me about it, right? So that's a great way for you to get a bunch of at-bats with, again, low risk, a ton of value. You get to practice the heck out of that script, and you don't really have to worry about that conversion rate. But I will tell you, as you do it 100 times or you do it 200 times, you're going to definitely get some sales out of that, right? Because you're going to get better, and those people have already shown some interest, and you're going to close some deals. So hope you enjoy the article. I hope this is helpful and gave you a little additional color and some extra ideas to apply to converting at a higher rate with your solar leads and creating that initial sales plan. So we'll talk to you next time.